Here's the lamp head with 5 sockets. Along the top, you'll see these holes. There's 4 of them, and that's where the rods attach for the softbox. The softbox with the rods already placed in it. We'll open this up to show you. See, there's one of the rods right there, and it goes down to the bottom. 1 in each corner of the 4. Now, the way these rods attach to the corners is fascinating because you have Velcro, and the rod goes underneath into a pocket and then Velcroed over. By the way, this little tab here, that little tab, is for attaching the inner diffuser. Now, the instructions tell you to place the softbox onto the lamp head, insert it in first, and then begin to insert these rods into these holes, like this one right here, and work your way around. So we're going to go ahead and insert the softbox into the opening. Oh, by the way, there's also Velcro here that you can unattach to loosen the outside of the softbox. Now, these rods attach like so. You go in, and then you work your way around with each rod. Now, the first 2, that looks pretty solid, you can see, but look at this right here. See, one of your tips here has come undone, and here's where the fun begins, because you literally have to manhandle the end of this rod into here. Now, it's not so hard when you only have 2 of them in there. But when you're working on that number 3 or that number 4, you are really cranking. Oh, let me show you one other thing too. The one thing you want to check before you start this is to make sure that this is tightened very tightly. I want to tell you, on the first one of these that I did, this nut was loose. This piece fell out. This entire bracket here slipped off. And there are 2 plastic tension washers that are inside here that allow it to tighten and kind of lock. When this piece fell off, those 2 plastic washers slipped out. And no joke, it was 25 minutes of work to get those 2 washers positioned so that I could slip this back on and tighten that. Because they don't lock in place on the inside before you put this piece over. So please remember, tighten this down. This won't come off. You'll save yourself at least a half an hour of work. Here's a little tip. When you're trying to attach the softbox, do not have these attached and locked in. Open those up so that the softbox can push down from it. Otherwise, you'll never get all 4 of these rods in to the base here. You just be too tight. You have to adjust the tension after you have put all 4 of these rods into the base. About 5 minutes later, we've now attached all 4 rods into the base holes in the fixture. Now comes when you have to bend these rods so that you can make the shape of it, and pull these back. And here's where the fun begins. Now the first one is not that hard, but you do have to apply a fair amount of pressure to be able to get this all the way up. I'm holding down pretty tight on this, and then fold that Velcro over. That's the first one. Now we'll do the second one. Again, push that over, push that down. That one tightened up pretty nicely, you can see. And now the third one. Remember, before you start this, have your rods inside the little pocket. See, there's a pocket here. It slides through the pocket, goes down, and this flap comes over. If you don't have it in that pocket before you start, you're going to have a bear of a time trying to bend these. So you have to remember, before you start anything, have all these rods in those little pockets there. So here's the next one. We'll push that down, pushing, pushing, and then, see, this is the third one, and already it's not easy. And because of the fact that you have to push so hard on such a small little area, you just don't have a lot to work with. See, even that's not as good as it can be, because you can see it's not pushed down. You can see it's not pushed down as far as it should be. It's sticking out a little bit. Maybe you can fix that later. And now the fourth one. One thing you can do is you almost need 3 hands, because you're using one hand down here to push the fixture away, and then pulling up, and you can see we're kind of short of one hand, because right now all I can do is hold that and flip that over, and it's not too bad. As you can see though, these pieces do not. This is the first one. Look how nice and level and tight that is. See? That's the last one right there. By the time you get around to that fourth one, you can see it's just sticking up. That's the best you can do. Perhaps you can push down and retighten it, but I would not suggest it after you've gotten all 4 in there. Now the only other thing you need to do to attach the softbox is to go around the back right here and pull the Velcro as tight as you can. Your bulbs for the 2 softboxes come in 2 to a box, in a box like this. And they're packaged each in an individual box. These are your 45-watt bulbs. And then inside the box is the bulb packaged in a plastic holder, which does, to their credit, look like it's reusable because it can snap open and closed and swings open like so. Then the bulb inside is wrapped in foam. You can see that tore as soon as I began to unwrap it. And here we go. Then we get down to the bulb itself. But you can see, look here. Here's your bulb. That is all the trash that you have from one bulb. Now, it's not trash because you need to save it. This is how you're going to be able to store these bulbs, because you cannot just drop these into a bag. They will break. But this is how much you have to work with for one bulb. And you have 10 of these bulbs for your 2 lights. You have 1 bulb for your boom light. So needless to say, it's a lot of stuff that comes out that has to sit aside, that has to be put somewhere while you're assembling and using this. And then you put it all back together again if you're going to disassemble it and then use it again. So it's a lot. Okay, now we've got all 5 bulbs unpacked, and that took about, well, probably 3 or 4 minutes. So now it's time to install them. Each light comes with two levels of diffusion. The outside cover, which goes over it. Inside you can add another layer of diffusion with this apron, which can go over your bulbs, like so. It attaches. You can see up here, in each corner, we've got a little elastic band. And you attach the clip to this elastic band. And you got one in each corner, so that then spreads this out so that that would be a second diffusion level on top of the outside diffuser. Now, let's talk about this little diffuser here. These little clips right here are very hard to work with. I mean, the object, I guess, is that they're supposed to be kind of like, you know, kind of like a safety pin. You just push your finger in like that and do that. I'm here to tell you, they're not very flexible. And again, you have an issue where you have to stretch these from one of these corners, attach one, then stretch it 3-4 times. And you just, unless you've got super tiny fingers, you're not going to be able to hold that open to pull it through this loop. And oh, by the way, be careful, because that little edge there can just as easily go through this elastic material and begin to tear it on the very first time. So there is a fix. And what you want to do, what I did was, I just took a pair of long nose pliers, or you could just take a regular pair of pliers, and just bend this piece back, this little tab, just bend it right back so that that's always open. That'll make it a little easier to put these each on. This is your boom light. Now, I think that dollar for dollar, this is the best value of what you have in this kit, because it does seem, for what you're spending, to be a pretty solid package. Because with this kit, you get a weight bag, which you'll have to fill with sand, or one thing that I've done too is you can use beans. You can go to the grocery store and buy a bag of beans for not much and fill it with that. But that counterweight's going to be necessary, because when you extend this out to the full distance, you're going to be likely to tip. The one saving grace for this piece, as opposed to our monster soft boxes from the others, is that with this soft box, it comes already pre-configured on the inside. Let me show you real quickly what's really nice about this. This is like most soft boxes that you'll see. It has, let me loosen this so we can get some more light on this. It has a collar right here. And literally all you have to do is push that collar back and pop it onto the socket, and it automatically forms itself. See how nicely that's formed? You're not fighting with anything. And you have little other bracket arms here. And it's really easy. All you need to do is just pop it back there. It snaps into place. The shape is nice and smooth. Put your diffuser cover on and you're good to go. So here's the case that comes with it, and everything fits into this case, but keep in mind you have to put all of the bulbs into their plastic containers, every bulb into a box, 2 boxed bulbs into another box, and then all 5 boxed bulbs into a larger box, so that it'll all fit neatly in here. And you've got cases for your stands, cases for your soft boxes that fold up. So it will hold everything, but I think there's a big question mark as to how durable not only the case, but also all of these pieces, especially the soft boxes, will be over the long haul. If you do a lot of work in the field, if you're setting up and tearing down for each and every shoot, there's a question in my mind as to how long before edges start to fray, elastic starts to break, Velcro becomes loose, and other issues occur. So that's a major question that you have to ask yourself in terms of the value of this equipment for the kind of work you do. Now, I think we're going to set this up in a studio. So we'll set up the soft boxes, we'll set up the boom light, and we're not going to tear them down. We're not going to use these in the field. So I think we'll be okay. But if you're not doing studio shooting and you're making this your travel kit, you may want to think twice about that.